Aviation Minister Joseph Kofi Adda says the suspension of commercial flight operation at the Wa Airport is as a result of telecommunication mast, which is also located on the routes of flights. Mr. Adda revealed that if the mast is removed, it will also enable pilots to use the full 2,000 meters runway of the Wa Airport and also stop the interference of communication between pilots and aviation officials on ground. Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports that residents in the region are not happy with the suspension of operation of commercial flights from the Wa Airport.
For the umpteenth time, they are back for the inspection of the Wa Airport, which residents have even lost count of the number of times they are here, yet it's still the same old story.
The 4 items that I've identified: the location of the Telecom mast, which are in the right path of the flight operations, the communication system that's interfering with the navigation service devices, interfering between them and the pilots, the need for the apron, the need for the roof welling, and also we've been working on a new control tower to support the operation of the airport at Wa. So these are things that all fit into the agenda of the president to make sure all the infrastructure that we're bringing to the country is used efficiently.
10 months ago, residents of the Upper West region were in cloud 9 following the reopening of the Wa Airport for commercial flight operations. The short ceremony was marked with pomp and pageantry. Before that, the Wa Airport was only a prison for high-ranking government functionaries coming into the region for official assignments using the Ghana Air Force. Though the operations of Africa World Airline has not been regular and smooth since they started operation, which sometimes blame on poor weather conditions, their operations came to a halt following the advent of COVID-19, the disease caused by the coronavirus.
With the constraints in terms of how many passengers they can take, and the fact that many have stopped flying, it's making it uneconomical for them to be coming here as frequently as they were coming. We're even looking to increase that. With the COVID-19, it's gone down. I think given that we're going to reopen the airports by the end of this month, go to early next month, I'm sure they'll reconsider that, look at it from economic point of view. If they are sure that more passengers will come, and then they can benefit from buying the fuel and flying and paying their personnel and so on and so forth. So purely commercial reasons, that's why they're not coming as frequently as we would love them to come.
Throughout the inspection tour of the aviation minister, it was unclear as to when the commercial flights will resume operations at the airport. For now, the fulfillment of a lifelong dream of residents of the Upper West region of an air transport on their doorstep that was heralded by pomp and pageantry appears to be flaming out, and thus ending on a dull fad. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam. Wa.
In other news, the registrar of the Ghana Scholarship Secretariat, Kingsley Ajamang, has disclosed that his outfit has so far budgeted about 80 million Ghana cedis to be awarded in grants for the 2020-2021 academic year. He believes this would also cater for about 50,000 qualified candidates from public and private tertiary institutions across the country. He indicates that the scholarship scheme has witnessed a tremendous increase in the number of beneficiary candidates within the last 3.5 years. Mr. Ajamang disclosed these during a workshop convened to train representatives of beneficiary tertiary institutions on the scholarship validation process in the Volta Regional Capital.
Let me again put on record that this is the first time that we are having local scholarship award for the payment of tuition fee or academic facility user fee. When His Excellency the President introduced this was in 2017. And in 2017, we awarded just about 1,780 students. In 2018, we awarded about 9,500 students. In 2020, in 2019, 29,000 students. So if you look at the percentage jump, it's been very progressive. This year, we intend to award about 45 to 50,000 students. And budget, in terms of budget, we have set aside about 80 million to take care of this exercise. You know, tuitions vary, and the levels also vary. You are talking of diploma, you are talking of certificates, you are talking of bachelors, you are talking of masters, you are talking of PhDs, all qualified, whether private or public, all qualified for this. So the tuition amount does vary. So we have in our budget, we have about 80 million to take care of this particular activity of CAP. Now we have even moved from applicant stage. Now they are now candidates because they've gone through the application processes. They've appeared before their respective district scholarship review committees. They are now, their institutions are now validating their data. So what it means is that they should expect that all things being equal, I'm reliably informed that the next academic year may start somewhere in October. We have told the various reps from all the institutions, the tertiary institutions, that we expect to receive back from them valid data maybe by the end of next week. And whatever they are having now is not an award of scholarship. So they should not share the data with any other third party. When we have received a very good data from them, by the second week in September, we will begin to give an award for the scholarship for those who have the scholarship, so that before the schools even reopen somewhere in October, their scholarships will be ready and the amounts are likely to be paid to the institutions before they even start their registrations in the coming academic year.
Now, after drinking from a muddy, germ-infested stream for years, the villagers of Pekyerekye would now see change. The Ashanti regional town has seen its first ever borehole, Promasidor Ghana Limited, and they are producers of cowbell. The project is in response to the stories of communities with no water, as highlighted on the JoyNews Safe Water Project. Justice Baidu has more.
Cutting through the ribbon to a new source of water. This is the chief of Pekyerekye, a small community in the Ashanti region. It is a day of merrymaking. The assemblyman for the community sums up the feelings of everyone here.
But formerly, we were relying on rivers and streams. But we are farmers here, and we normally pollute our rivers with agricultural chemicals, and it wasn't safe for mankind.
The people here are gathered to see the commissioning of Pekyerekye's new mechanized borehole. For some, this is the first time seeing clean drinking water in their small village.
Sometimes it takes us hours to get even a bucket full of water. Pumping it is draining.
The new water system has a sustainability model attached to its implementation, making sure users will contribute to its maintenance. The smiles seen at this commissioning today is a far cry from what used to be. Like Pekyerekye, many other communities drink from stream like this one.
Our water source before now was terrible. It was greenish and looked very dangerous. There were even germs in the water. Now we are better.
People in this small town are going to put the dark days behind them.
We say thank you to Cowbell for providing us the water.
Cowbell has saved us, and we are grateful. Even what we have is not enough, and we'll still beg for more.
Justice Baidu, JoyNews, Pekyerekye in the Ashanti region.
Well, that's it for the news. Next, we have to look at stories on the front pages of the dailies. Stay with us. And the hit song Jerusalem, which has inspired many dance routines, especially on social media, if not YouTube particularly. Please, you can go search it. And Master KG featuring Nomsibo. And talking about YouTube, we do have a channel there, JoyNews TV. Go look out for us. Make sure that you subscribe and click those notifications buttons. Now we have to look at the newspapers. And we have the Daily Graphic on screen. So we take a look at the Daily Graphic on the front page, delivering quality education. The GES, in pursuant of that, is reforming the structure it has. The exercise, though, according to what the Daily Graphic is reporting, won't cause job losses. School heads to have more powers, we're told. But we also do know that in the offing is a new education bill. Okay, and that, I don't know, looking at what I've seen so far on the front page and the inside pages of the Daily Graphic could also alter so-called authority that they are going to give more to various school heads. So we'll see how it goes. But that is also under some debates from the teacher unions as well. We also do have up there, government-backed CPC's turnaround efforts. It's also a story on page 3 of the newspaper because the president, as part of his tour within the period, went to the cocoa processing company, went to their factory floor, and his picture there has captioned the president being briefed by Dr. Frankie Duasante, Director of Production. Looking on is Nana Ejeni Mbwati II, the Managing Director of CPC. Also on the front page, you go a little up, you see 120,000 businesses receive COVID-19 support. That's a good thing as well. As part of government stimulus package, we found a number of startups as well as mainstream businesses who could get access to funding if they qualify, of course. Especially if you want the bigger ones, it means that your book should be in proper order. All right. So we have the Daily Graphic also telling us that their guest editor series has been rescheduled. And we know that for the first part. A former editor of the paper, also somebody who had worked with the BBC a very long time. Former minister as well. Elizabeth Ohene was supposed to have been a guest on the Daily Graphic edition. For today, she would have been editing, but that has been postponed. Rescheduled. As the proper English they used. On the back page of the Daily Graphic, acid woman hauled before court. And this tells a story about a 27-year-old woman who entered her husband's girlfriend's bedroom and allegedly poured acid on her, but currently being hauled before the Achimsuedo Circuit Court. Now, Vida Brakwa, the accused, who is 6 months pregnant, has been granted so far a 10,000 Ghana cedi bail with 2 sureties to be justified. Now, the accused who pleaded not guilty to unlawfully causing harm will reappear before the court, presided over by Mr. Alexander Warai on September 11, 2020. And we do know that the victim, Miss Patience Amalo, 30-year-old, lost her eye in the process because of the pouring of the acid on her, along with some severe burns all over her head, her face, breast, and other parts of her body, and currently is battling for her life at the Odan Government Hospital. It's very bizarre, near tragic as well. And so far, we're told that a team of policemen led by a detective went to arrest Brakwa at Odan SDA Junction resident, had to lie in wait until 2 p.m. the next day when they got her, as she was hiding at an obscure place in her husband's self-contained apartment. Now, the accused was first put before the court on July 30. She then pleaded not guilty to the offense and told the judge that she was 6 months pregnant. As an excuse, well, the court made an order for a pregnancy test the very day, which proved positive, and she was remanded in police custody subsequently for the police to conduct further investigations into the matter. And so far, the case has been adjourned to August 24, or was adjourned to August 24, just 3 days ago. When the accused reappeared in court 3 days ago, she was granted bail, and subsequently the story has been published by the Daily Graphic. Also on the back page of the Graphic, a businessman in court for allegedly defrauding Toyota Ghana Limited. It talks about 1.8 million Ghana cedis in lieu owed by this businessman. He is a chief executive for Global Motor Trading Company. Issued that checks after buying some vehicles belonging to Toyota Ghana Limited, and subsequently the company decided to take him on for it's an offense though to be offering or to be issuing that checks. So okay, so next we have to look at the next paper. We're talking the Daily Heritage, and the Daily Heritage has on its front page, IMANI backs Okada business. And we know that we brought you the story, but it's also a main discussion this morning. We're broadening the discussion. We're going to have the National Road Safety Authority also on it, consultant Cecil Gabra, road safety entrepreneur, and somebody who really is interested in advocacy when it comes to road safety. And it says the president of policy think tank, IMANI Ghana, Franklin Kujo, has backed calls for the legalization of Okada. Told you that I'm a great patron of Okada. Yeah, but Okada must be legalized to make it safe. This touches a lot of lives. This comes barely a day after the vice president of IMANI Africa as well, Kofi Bento, a legal practitioner, certified accountant as well, declared support for the call by the former presidents of mainstreaming Okada operations. Yeah. Well, the argument is that we're trying to enforce the law. We're not able to enforce it. So they're shying away. They're running away from the traffic lights, still doing the business illegally. So what do we have to do? I guess we need a better discussion on this. And what a way. We're starting right here on the show after the newspapers or the sports. Now, Ayariga vows to fight corruption. It's also on the front page of the Daily Heritage. Meanwhile, on the side, Mofad schools journalists on aquaculture sector. And then on the back page is all about GFA's Catch Them Young refereeing program to unearth young talents. And new talents are needed, or personnel are needed in the center of the pitch when it comes to football. And what a way for you to get them than to scout, get the right sort of people, and make sure that you train them well with the right acumen, expertise. And that's what the Ghana Football Association is doing. That's a good one there. Down there, though, it's been speculated and whether it's been confirmed, but it's dominating social media, the discussion platforms for football lovers. One person I do know who loves Barcelona to bits, even loves Barcelona better, is my lead director, Patrick Gomez, and it's all because Lionel Messi. But his idol is not happy with the way the Catalonia club is being managed. So he has given the signal to the management. That's when you're big, Charlie. You make the modern day club. And if the club is not being run well, you can just put your stakes on the table and say, I'm Lionel Messi. I'm leaving Barcelona. If you like, come for me. So the film trailer is still in the theaters. We'll see how it goes when the premiere of the whole movie starts. And so it's been well captioned on the back page of the Daily Heritage. I'm leaving, Messi tells Barcelona, and Patrick Gomez, who is one of the ardent supporters right here in Ghana, representing the club at JoyNews. Then let's look at the next paper. We have the Daily Statesman newspaper has on the front page, be honest with Ghanaians. Otumfuo charges Mahama to admit his wrongs in government. That's captioned by the Statesman. It has an inserted picture of Otumfuo said to the second seated, welcoming former President John Dramani Mahama. In the picture, he's back to the camera, to the Minsha Palace. We brought this to you live here also on the channel. So, all that is being done when it comes to election updates, and the best platform for you to get all this great content on elections, what's taking place in various constituencies, as well as nationally in the camp of the main parties or even the minority parties, and who is going independent or not, right here on JoyNews. Fireworks in NDC. Rawlings throws salvos at Ahoy. Very interesting. And the 11-page statement that's issued by the office of the former president does indicate that he's not been happy with a lot of things. You know that his former henchman published a book directly working with Rawlings and his experiences. So we're talking Professor Hoy, and this is a direct reply. I don't know whether we're going to see the last of it because the book is voluminous. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe he's reading. So as and where he gets to, then he's replying. But so far we've had an 11-page pointer or reply, direct response to that book that has been widely acclaimed or received by the reading public. Back page, Lionel Messi is still occupying back page. Statesman. And I'm sure this is at the request of Patrick Gomez, the lead director, one of the best supporters of Barcelona. I said, Lionel Messi, Barcelona want to build team around most important player in the world. They've been doing that, and he's been giving a lot of returns on their investment. So he's been with the club since tender age, is it 9 or 13 or thereabout? And he's been there 20 years. That's what it means. And it said, Barca and Leo, I'm reading a quote from the back page of the Statesman. Barca and Leo are like a marriage where both have given so much to each other and have brought so much joy to the fans, like Patrick Gomez. I think the future is positive. I am an optimist. Patrick Gomez likes a lot of betting because of this. Now, I don't know if Barcelona lets go of Messi, how he's going to win his bets. We'll see how it goes. The Ghanaian Times. Ghanaian Times has on the front page, military personnel besiege Dom Fase. Fase. When you go to the community, that's how they pronounce it, Fase. Go and say Fase. They'll direct you wrongly. But, you know, but all the same, we have to pronounce it as it is. It's a very corrupted Ga word. So, Domi Fase. Okay. But Fase as they pronounce it. And after mob attack on 2 soldiers, and just pains my heart to be seeing 2 of our uniformed military personnel beaten to pulp on the front page of our national dailies. Soldiers, we just don't seem to have respect for military again. I guess it's a rhetoric. Police grab 11 notorious land guards at Damfa on the side also of all that has been reported at Dom Fase. Now, we also do have, we've not abandoned uncompleted government project. 23 inherited assembly office project completed. And that's the Minister for Local Government and Rural Development, Haji Ali Mahama, giving the direct response to all the concerns about, you know, abandoned projects or previous government. I said, no, it's not happening. Charlie, we did do them. So government also said to rescue CPC from huge debts, according to the president. When he visited the factory floor, gave that promise because there was an appeal from the managing director of the company who said, well, we have great promise, but according to the story, we'll need some support, little investment in there, some subsidies here and there until we're back fully on our feet. Because they've had a lot of competition. They took everything for granted. So, but it's still one of the best chocolates you can find around, I have to admit. I'm always buying it in traffic. All right, so on the back page of the Ghanaian Times, we do have 250 farmers forced to abandon 750-acre rice farms in Bosa South. And this is located in the Fumbesi Rice Valley in the Bosa South district of the Upper East region. They've been abandoned for lack of chemicals to fight infectious weeds known as wild rice. And the few farmers still in the valley are using traditional methods of farming to uproot the wild rice tillers, which is time-consuming, capital-intensive to hire laborers and other ancillary support that you need. It's just not working. They need help. Ashaiman Assembly, though, is to construct Middle East roads to ease traffic jam. Yeah, while this is important, I also encourage the municipal chief executive, good friend of mine, to make sure that he also does the main road for us. Charlie, we want the road to be done as well. Okay, so that's it when it comes to the Ghanaian Times. Let's now take a look at the Daily Guide. Has on the front page, campaign on achievement. Otumfuo cautions Mahama, also there on the front page. And campaign on achievement. Otumfuo cautions Mahama. Campaign on achievement. Don't dissuade. Don't try to go sideways. Yeah, all right. And then we have other stories as well. Soldiers take over town. An injured soldier. Births registration increased by 80%. Baumia swerves political pundits. And then we also do have concocted Nana stories splashed online. All there. And, well, it's a story about the interaction that John Dramani Mahama, the flag bearer of the opposition NDC, former president, had with the Tumfo, that seemed to be occupying the front pages of the newspapers. Those newspapers, I have to say. On the back page, though, Lionel Messi still there. Let me leave. Messi tells Barca via fax, ponder City move. He, according to what the portals and newspapers are speculating, he wants to reunite with his former coach Pep Guardiola, under whom he won many laurels. I think I remember 3 Champions League titles, a number of accolades as well. It was phenomenal with him as well. But it's also because Messi is Messi. He's just not happy with the way the club is being run. But on the side, it says Barca president faces vote of no confidence. And Josep Bartomeu is having a fallout with Lionel Messi. That's why we have this spillover of the discontent that is being expressed by Messi and his camp, following what he seems to think is the mismanagement of the Catalonia club. We're told that so far we're going to have a vote of no confidence on the president of the great club, according to a statement also released before the humiliating defeat to Bayern Munich in the Champions League. The collective number of fans from various supported groups behind the action said they had grown weary, fed up with the club's top management, and as a result, they've argued that change was needed, imminent, immediately. Down there, though, there's been speculations in the Ghanaian media, especially in the football fraternity, about whether we're going to have former greats, if not football greats of Ghana, Suleiman Tari and then Asamoah Gyan, the great goal scorer, record goal scorer of the Black Stars, at least playing for Kumasi Asante Kotoko before they call it quit for football. We're hoping that will happen. At least they are going to grace the pitches of the Babanyara Sports Stadium and see how it goes. All right. Back page again. Bayern gets low-key welcome, and all these on the back page of the Daily Guide. Now let's look at the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Has on the front page, as per 2010 population census nationwide, the update from the Daily Dispatch based on what they're calling the 13 broad ethnic groups with over 500,000 persons, all there, page 12. We're supposed to have had a census this year. We spoke to the government statistician, said it's been rescheduled, but it will still happen. We're hoping that it will happen. I think my best bet is that it may happen, next year. So we have the 13 broad ethnic groups with over 500,000 persons and their name. The Ashantis are 3.8 million. The others are 3.3 million. The Fantis are 2.7 million. And it continues on the back page. Broadly, you can always get the update from the Daily Dispatch. Asante-Hene's advice to JDM, again, page 12. Correct your mistakes. Clearly explain your vision to Ghanaians. Correct your mistakes. So mistakes were made. Your vision is not clear, according to the Odumfo. It's like, Charlie, broadly explain your vision to Ghanaians. Residents, though, on the front page of the Daily Dispatch, caption the story from Dom Fase. Residents flee after attacking military men. The story is on page 2 of the paper. Very interesting story from what the spillover of what happened 2 days ago into yesterday. I'm sure we can get the latest updates this morning as well. The US PR firm on work during the Kufuor campaign, and now it talks about A story that seemed to be dominating the headlines also in the Ghanaian media about a U.S. law firm that helped the then opposition candidate and his campaign team, that's Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, now president of our republic, and all the speculations about some of the unethical things that they did, etc. And it's all there. So you've got to grab a copy of the Daily Dispatch newspaper to get all the update. It's not very often that we review international news in the newspaper, so to speak, apart from sports. And so we have it. On page 4, if you get to the Daily Dispatch, you find an opinion, and this one is credited to CNN. It says, what Kamala Harris Indian roots reveal about the United States of America. And we know that the vice presidential candidate of Joe Biden is of Indian origin as well as Jamaican origin as well. The father is a Jamaican, the mother is an Indian. And so they're saying that also speaks volumes about the diversity of the United States of America in relation to their population and how it gives opportunities for people of all races, all colors, all spheres to, well, pitch for their own aspirations, and if they work hard, they can succeed. I guess also goes to all human beings broadly, if the right conditions are made available in your environment. So that is it. The last newspaper we'll be looking at before we get on to myjournline.com is the Business Finder, because it's full of business. It's well captioned. We will help remove trade barriers as host of ACTA secretariats, though, even though on the side, we just brought you the story about the GIBC committee, Ministry of Trade committee, also working to make sure they say check papers of especially Nigerian traders. You know, when you speak to them, they tell you that foreigners, and the Nigerians are complaining that they have all up to date, the Finder. So they have all the up-to-date documents, but now we have a committee in place that's saying that you shouldn't be doing retail trade. So the big question is, who gave the documentation to the Nigerian traders? Well, we call them traders, but they're businesses and enterprises. So the question is, at the Registrar General's Department, before you issue the certification, how do you track after that certification is issued to a foreign shareholder, and then make sure that what the intent or the object of that incorporation is being followed through in the markets? Big question. Yeah, because this definitely will smack of some discrimination. Definitely will smack of that. Somebody can make a case for that. So it talks all about fairness, doesn't it? So we have COVID-19 also on the front page of the Business Finder. COVID-19 will come out stronger, according to EcoBank. And then we have massive support for ex-Galamseyers. But the good thing about the Business Finder is that they bring you all the market numbers, all the market indicators, the consumer price inflation, or the fiscal deficits based on projections, the gross international reserves, and all these are also called not only from the Bank of Ghana, but also based on sponsorship. The Ghana Stock Exchange numbers are there. The currency trade numbers are also there. The commodity exchange rates are also there, and the interest rate as well. So if you're somebody who patronizes T-bills and other government instruments, you should know that the Finder has all the latest update for you on the front page of the newspaper. Well, we'll have to take a break, but we'll just look at what's on the homepage of myjournline.com.
Why it informed that decision to prohibit its use for passenger fare carrying passenger activities. Because when you allow that to happen, you realize that you have an influx in communities, and the influx will bring about higher risks. And if not regulated well, it could lead to what we are seeing now.
Now, the intent of the law is there, the spirit and the letter. But then we also know that we have agencies like you. You used to be a commissioner, now you're an authority. You're supposed to work with maybe the Ghana Police Service, the MTTD, and the other allied agencies to make sure you enforce this. How come we have this illegal on the law, but now we have so-called numbers of these motorcycles on our roads?
The truth is that because it's prohibited, there is no statistics to show the number of Okada in the system. The statistics show motorcycle riders. Because if you go to the licensing authority, you don't get data on commercial motorcycles because there's nothing like that. So the only commercial motorcycle activity that you have is for the courier services, which is regulated by the Ghana Post and other regulatory bodies governing that sector. So there's no statistics to show that we have this number of Okada on our roads, or that we see it. We see that we see a lot of motorcycles on our roads. We presume that most of them are Okada, but there's no statistic to back that claim that there are a lot of Okada riders. So we can't get statistics to show the involvement of Okada riders. We would only get statistics for motorcycle riders.
Yeah. So what?
I don't know if I am.
I get the clarity you're trying to establish. So why haven't we enforced that section of the Road Traffic Regulation 2180 up till now, so that we don't come to the situation or the point where we don't know the numbers, even though the DVLA records or registers motorized cycles?
Okay. I don't know if you see, but the police from time to time does a lot of enforcement in this sector, where sometimes they do a swoop and they arrest people who are perceived to be using the motorcycle to carry fare-paying passengers. So it's an area that is enforced, but maybe it's not adequately enforced. But I think that it's an area that the police have been doing swoops on, and sometimes they even arrest and seize motorbikes perceived to be doing that activity. But then there's a conversation also going on, which happened from last 2 years, where some people were calling for the legalization of this activity. And in view of that, the authority, together with its supervisory ministry, the Ministry of Transport, embarked on a stakeholder consultation. And within the stakeholder consultation, we sought different views, and we had different views. You have some people wanting the prohibition law to stay. We had some people also wanting it to be legalized and regulated, and we had others also wanting a segregated law to allow it in some parts and not allow it in other parts. And so these are the options that are being looked at, and I'm sure very soon or sometime later this year, the policy direction will be given in that line, any of the options that are taken. And then we as implementers would go ahead and implement whatever policy that is brought on board.
In countries where this is an acceptable norm, whether it's regulated or not, how do we fare in terms of the numbers of the accidents?
Are you asking about comparing our crash statistics to these countries?
Motorized, yes.
If we pick some countries that we know that it's legal and it's regulated, like let's say even just around us, Togo, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, and Co. Yes, we if you look at data, yes, we are doing better than them. I don't know if that's what you want to establish.
Yeah, that's what I want to establish. Now, okay. The conversation now that has again come up, the added side of the conversation is that right now, we don't have the data, we don't know the numbers, and you even as regulatory authorities, you don't even know who is using what they have registered their motorized cycles for. So what about then that argument that if we regulate it, then we can keep it in check?
Yeah, as I said, there are options in place, and even the government also looked at all that, and it's in this vein that there was a working group that went on to understudy some countries who are doing these regulations. And they came up with a report, and that report informed the stakeholder consultation I spoke about. And then, as I said, a report has been submitted, and as our government is still looking at it to come up with a policy on it.
How do we broaden the discussions further on this? Because you are saying as an authority you don't have a position, right? You follow the law. So your position is the law.
Our position is in relation to safety. We look at how safe the means of transport is, and how it would affect on the road users. So that is where we look at. And as I said, whatever the policy guide comes up to be, we will look at the safety aspect and make sure that we won't have these numbers escalating.
Now, we do know that if you look at the stats, based on what you have recorded, it just forms a minute section of general road accidents. What other contributory factors are there for the numbers that we're recording generally for road accidents?
As I said, the most contributor to the fatalities is the pedestrian. If you look at statistics, let me just pick between 2016 and 2018, as I picked for the motorcycle. If you look at it, you find that pedestrian contributes 37.4%. Then also buses and minibuses, that is passenger carrying vehicles like our VIPs, STCs, the trotros, and the rest. They contribute about 16.4. But the announcement I was making initially was that these buses and minibuses initially were second to pedestrian, but motorcycles are overtaking that, and now they are second to the pedestrian.
Okay. And
I must also say that over the years, the pedestrian fatalities have been coming down gradually, because it used to be about 42%. Now it's about 37.4%. So we are making gains when it comes to the pedestrian. We are making gains when it comes to the minibuses and others. But unfortunately, it's worse off when it comes to motorcycles, tricycles, and the rickshaw.
The fatalities?
Yes, please.
Now, we know that enforcement by the MTTD, it's a critical part of ensuring that we reduce these fatalities. Why is it, and not only related to motorcycles, I mean generally? What have been some of the reasons why we've had a non-effectiveness of that sort of enforcement from that authority or the department?
Okay, thank you. I don't know, but if I would give it a word, I wouldn't say non-effectiveness. I would say inadequate. And I think the Ghana Police Service is working on that, and very soon I'm sure we are going to be. We all know that they are working on. We all know they are working on something about the automating their services. And in automating their services, what they want to do is that they want to, one, be able to apprehend offenders and process offenders in real time, so that we stop this time lag where now it becomes difficult to sometimes even locate offenders. So there's a system coming in place where I know the Ghana Police Service have gotten very far, and very soon that will come into place. They would use technology to be able to apprehend and prosecute offenders.
I do know generally, based on my interactions with your office as well as the other stakeholders, that there are other factors beyond what are the physical things on the road that contribute to accidents. What are they?
The main contributory factor to road crashes in Ghana is the human factor. when I say the human factor, I mean those who use the road, whether you're a pedestrian, you're a driver, or you're a rider. That is the main contributory factor to road crashes in Ghana. And you realize that the main attribute to fatalities in Ghana is speeding. Because when you are at certain speeds, when you're involved in a crash, the impact is so high that we lose a lot of lives. So that's why I will go back to the enforcement bit. That is why the MTT is trying to automate this operation such that they will be able to bring down speeding of drivers, the speeds of drivers, because now what they are bringing on board, people would know that if you speed on a road more than the limits that is permitted on that road, you will be apprehended, and it would force people to reduce their speeds on the roads. And that's the main contributory factor of fatalities on our road. Yes.
And the counter-intervention should have been or are?
The counter-interventions are, one, as I said, the police enforcing the speed regulations. If you see them on the roads, you see them with these speed camera guns, the radar guns, and then they use that to check your speeds so that you reduce your speeds, or if you are apprehended, you are prosecuted. But as I said, that has been inadequate over the years, and that is why it's being enhanced to a different form of technology, where now, wherever you are, you will be seen by the police. So you can be apprehended even if the police is not there, and you will be, an offender will be apprehended anywhere that the person finds himself. So this is something that is coming to help in what they do now. As I said, I won't call it ineffective, I call it inadequate. And they are bringing that to be able to make it adequate. And then we will be able to take off a lot of people who are not driving well. That's how I call it, because if you are speeding above the speed limit, you are not driving well. Yeah. So a lot of people who are not driving well off the road.
Now, if you look at the latest report of the BRI, and we're talking the Building Road Research Institute, and they tend to collate all the data for which we always use for the conversation, the research, and the education. They recommend highly the use of technology. You have mentioned about how this is taking long into being deployed. What have been the reasons why we're taking so long in automating our traffic systems and using technology in the interventions?
I wouldn't say we are taking long, because you need to do it well. I'm coming. Let me just finish, Roland, please. I said I wouldn't say we are taking long, because you need to do it and do it well. You could just start something, and you know technology. You could just start something, and then you wouldn't have seen some risk factors, and then it would happen. So you need to get all the risk factors that could affect whatever you want to do, mitigate them or avoid them. Then you can successfully implement. To say that this project is going through all that, so that when it comes on board, there is no room for failure, because it's something that is going to affect people. It would affect the lives of people. It would affect me and you. And we don't want where somebody could challenge the system like that the person could, let's say someone challenges a case, the person wins a case, and then you realize that your system is flawed. So that is what the police is looking at. We want a flawed system. We want a system that would work perfectly. We want a system that will change the attitudes of people. We want a system that will let people fall in line. So yes, it may have taken long, but I think that we want a system that when it comes on board, it would reduce our bad attitudes toward the roads drastically.
And they do also recommend, that's the BRI, that the implementation should be adequately supervised by you. But we also do know that when it comes to the deployment of technology, while you could supervise it, the enforcement bit is not coming from you. What sort of collaboration should there be then when it comes to, after deployment, proper enforcement?
Okay, thank you. First, let me make a clarity on this. This statistics you are referring to is for the National Road Safety Authority. building road and research.
Sure. No dispute about it. No dispute about it.
So yes, the recommendation is such that there should be a supervisory role to ensure that the system works and it's in place. And that is why I said I wouldn't say it's taking long. We have been going along with them. We know what they are doing. We know what they are bringing on board. And yes, if you look at our new mandate as well, it also gives us the authority to ensure compliance within the road safety space. And since the enforcement bit is coming from the police into the road safety space, yes, we have a very good relationship with them. We are moving with them along the line. As I said, even this system that they are deploying, we are with them. We know what they want to do. We know how it would work. We know the risk factors. We know how they are mitigating these risks. So we are with them constantly. So it's something that there's a good relationship between the National Road Safety Authority and then the Ghana Police Service. And whatever will be deployed would be something that the National Road Safety Authority is in support.
Yeah.
And would help to make it a successful implementation.
Right. Let's bring somebody in who is also independent of what the state parastatals may be doing. Now, look, Dr. Godfred Achiadakwa is CEO of the Road Safety and Transportation Consultancy. And thank you for joining us, Dr. Achiadakwa. If it comes to what is done in the best jurisdictions, Europe, the United States of America, some of the best countries in Asia, or even the Middle East, where they tend to do on the spot detection, and then, let's say, surcharging, billing, etc., as part of the component of enforcement on road safety. Why has it taken us so long to be able to deploy some of these systems in Ghana?
Good morning.
Morning. Please, can you reduce the volume of your set, or if you have any equipment that is having any sound on it, we'll be happy.
I've just done.
Okay.
Yeah, good morning, listeners. Yes, your question is valid, and we need to interrogate it deeply. When you look at the implementation of plans that can reduce the carnage on our roads, we needed to have a strong political will by government to support that intervention. But before government will also do that, I know government has done a lot of studies. The academia has done a lot of studies. And we, the experts, have done a lot of studies concerning the life of one average middle-level person who dies on the road. And we can juxtapose it for the number of people who die on the road per annum. We have an average death rate for the past 10 years to be 2,200. And as at June, if we have recorded 1,141 per day.
Henry.
Yes, Roland.
Okay. Dr. Achiadakwa, are you back? We're having some difficulty with your stream. It's got to do. Okay, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Okay. Now, Henry, we know that we need to have some timelines. The spot fine initiative that the system you wanted to implement and some of the automated systems. What is on board? When do we intend rolling them out? It's been a long time in coming.
Yeah. It's something that, as I said, will be coming soon, but I'm sure that at the right time, we would engage the media to give you the specifics. As of now, I cannot give the specifics, but it's something that wouldn't keep that long again. So just give us some time. Let's iron out. As I said, we are trying to mitigate some risk factors. Let us just complete that, then we can give you accurate timelines.
Dr. Achiadakwa, are you back? Dr. Achiadakwa? Okay. So there is an important component of new changes we're expecting in the current regulation that is being revised. What are the propositions that are before the the Committee on Parliament or the ministry, so to speak? What are they?
Roland, I cannot really tell you everything because this is not in our domain. It's at the domain of the Ministry of Transport.
No, we're talking.
So
we're talking what stakeholders you, as an authority, have been in the middle.
As I said, with the review of the LI, it is the Ministry of Transport who has been leading that process. So I don't have the collated documents, so collated responses from all these stakeholders to be able to speak to it.
Well, I do understand your fears. Now,
no, these are not fears. I don't have the data. I don't have what the information you seek to find.
No problem. Dr. Chandakwa, are you back? Can you hear me now? No, soon. Dr. Chandakwa, can you hear me? No.
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Sorry, it's the internet. Now, when the West and the developed countries do that sort of implementation, what sort of consultations and pre-deployment actions do they go through that makes them so successful at the deployment and the implementation? Sir?
Let me say it away. What is making advanced countries being successful in the implementation of road safety maneuvers, that is reducing road crashes in those countries? One critical thing is that how do you call it? The intercoms, the telecommunication devices that they have around. Even if we want to use speed limiters and hang them all over on our roads to check people who are overspeeding. In fact, that is the most critical thing. That is people are dying from. I mean, the overspeeding. That can be done where we have cameras all over our major areas or the black spots, and that are linked to the net, so that we can have a live-on arrest of people who violate the speed limits. That would be one critical thing. And people who are using mobile phones who are driving, we can find them. People who have their vehicles broken down and have left them unattended on the road, we can have hand-on arrest of them. When we even take these three elements off from the road by using modern internet infrastructure, that is why I keep on saying that government is going on the right track and it needs their support. Look, if we are able to Wi-Fi, he said if they are able to Wi-Fi the tertiary institutions, I would plead with them, they should go advance to the extent that all the principal road networks must be monitored. As the MTTD has started some years back, that they monitor the roads and see places where drivers are having violating the road laws, then we get them and apprehend them. And in the advanced country, that's what they do. You can't commit a road crime and go. Your vehicle number plate will be translated into the person who is driving the car. And that is why the national identification card process is so good and important, because you are going to fuse the driver's license with the national ID card. So, and then when we box all of this into the internet infrastructure, what will happen is that when we get the identity of the vehicle number, we can straight away trace to the person. So the person, the vehicle owner might be at home and will be arrested. Or a ticket will go and be placed on post. We have such infrastructure, this road carnage will reduce. And I'm praying that government should look at that, so that this integration thing that they are doing, the national identification card, the licensing, electronification of the country will go a long way to solve the road issues, and not only the road issues, major problems in this country will be solved in that. So we have to encourage government to go ahead with what is with the digitization of Ghana.
Yeah, but nobody is prohibiting government. Governments, its institutions are themselves delaying the timelines to achieve digitization. So it's not.
So the government should raise the whip. The government must raise the whip. They should not tolerate or allow any organization to try to detract government from achieving these success. So she raise the whip, so that we should do the right thing and make sure that we save a lot of people who are dying untimely on the road through no fault of theirs.
Now, Mr. Asumeni, if you look at some of the interventions we've done, what have been some of the inhibitions so far, especially in human behavior or a change in human behavior?
Sorry, I didn't get the question. The line was not...
What have been some of the impediments or difficulties you've experienced in trying to change human behavior in relation to how they contribute to crashes or poor road safety activities?
Okay, thank you very much. And sorry, I didn't greet Dr. Achadakwa. Good morning. That's my senior man right there.
Good morning, brother. Good morning.
Okay. Yes. See, one... I have, there's a saying that education without enforcement is entertainment. And as we have all come to agree that the enforcement when it comes to road safety regulations is a little inadequate, and the police, the Ghana Police Service, as Mr. Chadakwa just pointed out, they are trying to do exactly what he is talking about. But as I said, there are other risk factors that he has also raised about the connectivity. And they are trying to see how to go around this connectivity issue. And so we have done a lot of education. The police have done a lot of education, a lot of enforcement. The DVLA has been doing its part. Yes, changing attitudes is very difficult, especially when we know we can get away with it. Let's say, I know if I speed here, I can get away with it, then I will speed. It's a natural behavior of human beings. But where we get to know that everywhere is being monitored, I think it will change behavior drastically. For now, we are trying to use education and a little bit of enforcement to change behavior. It's working, but it's not working as quickly as we would want it. So, as I said, the police are going to automate their system, and in automating their system, it will be such that they will be monitoring everywhere. Everywhere, every major road, every black spot, they will be monitoring. And you will be apprehended if you fall foul of the law. And when people realize that now they are being watched everywhere, I think people will fall in line.
You mean it will only be taking place in Accra and Kumasi, right? Because I don't know how...
it's not being taking place in only Accra and Kumasi.
Damanko, those long stretches. Anyway, let's go to a transport yard.
Roland, you see, when you are starting an implementation like this, you look at where you would have effect most. And as at now, we've identified some major roads that we have a lot of issues with. And these roads are the first target roads to be monitored. Then it would expand to Damango.
But Roland,
Dr. Chadaka. Yeah, please go ahead.
I want to make a comment.
Please.
I want to make a comment. One thing that is not also helping us in dealing with the solution to this road road crash issue is that the law enforcement. May I have problem with the punitive measures that are meted out to the people who violate these laws. The punishments or the fines are so meager, so it does not serve as deterrent.
Are you sure? Dr. Chadakwa. Well,
no.
Well, so let's go to our roving man, Manuel Kranting, is joining us from a transport yard right here in Accra. We're talking at the Kwame Nkrumah interchange area. So, Manuel, over to you.
I to speak to a few of the, the drivers and a few of the passengers, get to find out what really is at the core of this problem that we're seeing. This gentleman is here. Thank you very much, Papa Driver. Thank you so much for speaking to us. The road accidents, they are increasing, even though there are calls for us to be careful on the roads and so on and so forth. What is causing this? You're a driver. Tell me about it.
Well, I'm calling Sakite Thomas. Well, road accident. Some of the incident from the long vehicles. You see, it's a night workers. It's a night workers. If they are working, so if they're tired, they can park somewhere. And those people, as total drivers or taxi drivers, they are night. They are also doing night work. Understand? Fine. If night work like that, even you are going, they will feel sleeping.
But what we know is that when you are going on a long journey and you get tired, park and rest. Why don't they park and rest?
Yeah. As for what you are saying, that's correct. But some of them, they are in a hurry. They want to go there and then get the load and then come back. Because of this COVID-19, it brings a lot of some things, some problems, you know. Yeah, that's what I want to see. Understand? So now the work is very difficult. For instance, somebody bought car for you to make a sales a week, a day for 2 million a day. That's 200 Ghana. And the week before the week you reach, you will not get that that is. You will force and then do night to attach
to add it. But I mean, it's a call between your life and then the money. Which one are you going to pick? Definitely your life ahead of the money. But what?
We need our life. Yeah. So some of them the trucks, long vehicles is very important. If they spoil, they should do something. The police people or road safety to do something about that.
What about the roads? You drive on the roads. Tell me.
The roadside. We as a drivers, we shall take care of ourselves to save the passengers and then ourselves. We drivers ourselves. So if we are going, we have to be very, very careful and then the vigilant and then.
But you think that the roads are good, the road linkages and so on. The roads are not to blame for the accidents that we see.
Are
the roads good?
Yeah, the road is good. The road is good. But some place, I can't say here is good or somewhere is good. It depends the place where you are working to.
Great. So he's telling me about his own experiences on the roads. He mentions that a few people want to make ends meet. In fact, they have to, do the render accounts to the owners of the vehicle. And so they drive at night, even when they are tired, Roland, and it's become a problem. And so that is sometimes, they fall asleep behind the wheels. That's why you see a number of the road accidents that we're seeing. But it's more. And we want to speak to a few of the passengers. And get some reactions from them. They sit in these vehicles with the drivers and so on. They experience it firsthand. I want to find out what exactly their own experiences are. Let me talk to this gentleman. Hello, good morning. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Oh, good morning.
What's your own experience with road accidents? They are on the rise. You think that the drivers are to be blamed or the roads themselves are not good?
Not the drivers alone as well. The roads too are not good. The roads too are not good. Not only drivers, but both should be taken into consideration because human life. What matters is the human life. Yeah, so both should be taken into consideration.
So he's telling me about both the drivers and the roads. But you're a passenger and you sit in a vehicle. Sometimes the drivers are overspeeding and so on and so forth. Passengers most of the time keep quiet. Is that correct?
Yes, most of them keep quiet because even if you say nothing can be done about it. Yes.
But it's your life in the vehicle that you have given to the driver as a steward to keep for you. And so if you need to talk to the driver, don't you think?
Yes, you have to talk to the driver whenever you see the driver is misbehaving because he has to take your life safely to wherever you are going. He has to take it. So you have the right to talk. Yes, but better still the roads and then the drivers all should be taken.
So better still the roads and the drivers are all to blame. Roland, some of the reactions that I'm getting here, it's a mixed bag of, reactions between the drivers and really the passengers. They say the roads are to be blamed, the drivers also. Well, I'm trying to speak to a few more of the drivers. Hello, Papa driver. Good morning. Road accidents any sense my kosono. One kasa Ojen Hussein.
What's up, the we are
Okasa opese aban bre mu den akasa na aban meye.
The way obey. Say yakura is a for no other band then yet. Just treated no kan keye. He said the whole day go to and yakura to aban hwe mai.
Well, he's also telling me that it's a huge problem that they're having to deal with. I'm trying to speak to a few more people. Roland, I'll hand over to you very shortly. But generally, you get the indication that people actually, have an understanding of the fact that this is indeed an existing problem. Let me speak to this man here. Hello, good morning, sir. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Great. Now we're talking about road accidents, and indeed, how prevalent they have become. So, road accidents, ekoso. Na nkwenhia bebre na record where your roads no so one kasa original
ye nyina obu ho a wakoye fake lances na ordinary street oni lances say ye all lances bi no ordinary nti akwanhia na ba keto bi anu aku nipa bebre simple kra nti no ye de I say yes station ane de obanse no nkita lances a ebe ne pass ye be maka wala humanimi ye ye frem kwa me ga me ko ne ba pa haye na mbesu ado abe haye na yetete me kwa me koma sa kinta che ye ni nyina no omo de kogu race is afi no ma ye bibia wie e wo cycle say nti afi ne aba JoyNews nti ko ba bia
na catch me say station no answer na mo betu car no ese mo check engine na mo check oil any sense ni na answer na mako na so na say ase ye check
me say no me de asem na o kan no kre but me no me ba betu mi car no pa enya ha na me da kwase aben no enya ha na me da.
Great. So these are a few of the reactions that we are getting. He says that some of the checks which need to be done, before the vehicles move, are not done. Roland, I'll finally end with this lady, with a lady here who is also a driver's mate. Who your mate? But yes, you must say nkwenhia bebre esi wo ekwan so ba ne sen.
Driver ni bi ho no woda obi wonu mo so a o communicate o kwan no so ntenten we sisi a yefi ensan mu ba say body aka akase ba akwa adane enti no I saw am shona am tenten wo mo say police fo njenja wonu mo sa na we no yi afa ho ka akase ba kra na de keto na yi afa ho ni nyina mi hubi enti na nso mo hwe ho asem no mo nka.
But say also your mate also driver ye bi mo kasa nche driver
minene ku de bia o ye bi minene ku de bia nene ku de bia o ye bi minene ku enti no mo mpa empenifo ankasa na mo mla ho na mo mekasa na enipa so wo mfaso enipa so wo mfaso.
Finally answer na meko no catch Okada any motor riders emo ni nam coin mu you so red no ebi mu gina ebi mu sun gina but drivers no mo de car bomb mo ne nsensem catch me no so
ano so o msa ja me wan say red ne so a car ti mi gina motor ntimi gina na motor atwem ne nya na police fo no so gina ho no nti sisi ana no na te say ana say ne nyina ye betwem
and I money number twem and say mu twem na car bon crofo
say ante so mo stop motor fo no na say traffic ne so a o mu gina green so a no mo akọ.
Great. So, Roland, these are the reactions that we are picking from the Kwame Nkrumah circle. This is the main lorry park here. I'll be talking to a few of the drivers, some passengers, even some of the drivers' mates. And they tell us that this is a real canker which needs to be given the maximum attention by government and all stakeholders. Roland, over to you.
Well, great interaction there, Manuel Cranting. And I tell you, sometimes he can be a bit unnerving getting some of those responses in real time. I really loved that driver there. Well, but we're talking the real issues here. Now, Dr. Aksha Dakwa, if you take a look at how fast the developed world seems to be going ahead in comparison with the developing countries when it comes to the things that we want to achieve in road safety in our part of the world, what do they do better in terms of what their thoughts are, the way they have to implement them to succeed?
one good thing that this modern civilized world is engaging itself with and making possible successes is the use of the digitization and the infrastructure, the internet infrastructure. Try to track and monitor so many things that goes on within the country. And I'm saying if we introduce that in this country, then we are going to get most of our challenges being solved. And then I was also talking about in the advanced countries, their laws are such that you pay if you go wrong. You pay if you go wrong. If these drivers, are able to, when they arrest them, and we give them the appropriate fine, a fine that can let them feel it within their.
Well, Henry, your final comment and thought on what you have on the table and how you intend achieving them. By what timeline? You keep saying soon. In the pipeline, it's a long time in Ghana.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me just talk about the authority rather. The authority, as in the change of mandate. I heard some of the drivers talk, your reporter on the field talking about inspections. Yes, one of the new functions that has been given to the authority is to ensure that vehicles at lorry parks are inspected before they leave the station. And with this one, I can assure you that by January, February, we should be seeing major terminals having inspectors who would be inspecting vehicles before these vehicles leave the stations. We call it the pre-checks, pre-check. So departure checks. We call it the pre-departure checks. And these will be done at major lorry terminals by January. Then it will spread to these smaller terminals.
Well, thank you very much.
Hello?
Henry, thank you very much. Henry Asemanin works with the National Road Safety Authority. We also had Dr. Chia Dakwa, who is a consultant, who is a CEO of his company as well, doing great work in the area of road safety, helping us with a conversation midway.
But now let's focus on elections, Roland. And we are talking about vote buying today. Will money influence who you vote for? Even if it's not money, let me say, because in our circumstance, it's not always money. And that's why sometimes it's so frustrating that something like a basing, a T-shirt, even we are told, can influence someone's decision. But it's not that trite, is it? If a fishmonger gets a basing, it serves a certain economic purpose for her. So it's not as simple as it may look. But we've been asking you that question: will money influence who you vote for?
I'm not voting for money. I'm voting for my country. So not for money.
So you take any money?
I will not take.
No, I'm not going to take the money and vote. And it's not going to be possible that somebody will give me 2,000 to vote for him. It's not going to be possible. You see, the vote is your power. So you need to vote for someone that you cherish, so that at least at the end of the day, you get peace in this country.
No, I will not vote for the person. I will take the money, but I will vote against him.
Oh yes, why not? I'm working to get my own money. And if someone is to give me money, I will.
I think it's about time we put our selfish interest aside and then look for the greater good of everyone. I can take the 5,000 cedis, but how long will it last? But if there are policies that will sustain all of us, then we all benefit. So
you're not going to take
So there you heard some, responses from people on the streets there. And I wonder what your answer is. But we've been joined by Guilford Boating-Isiama. He's a policy analyst with CDD. And they've been doing a lot of research on this, the issue of vote buying, and the fact that a lot of Ghanaians do not even know that it's illegal. I just look at that lady boldly saying that, oh, yeah, of course, I take money to vote. So let's start off on that note. Thank you for joining the show, Mr. Boating-Isiama. In 2016, you released a report, and when I say you, I mean the CDD, detailing how many Ghanaians do not know that it is illegal to accept money and that it was an offense and even punishable by law. Has that changed? We are in 2020 now. Do we know if that has changed at all? Mrs. Hiama, can you kindly unmute your Zoom? We can't hear you, sir.
Hello?
Yeah, great. We can hear you now,
yes,
sir.
I don't think anything has changed since 2012 or 2016. Obviously, we haven't been doing education. And once we haven't been doing that education for people to know, then we wouldn't expect that anything would change. So as you found out from the street, most Ghanaians still think you can go about and transact your votes, take money either to vote for the person or not to vote for the person. But so far as the law is concerned, whether you vote for the person or you do not vote for the person, once you take the money, you can be prosecuted for electoral fraud.
But, you know, the expression vote buying often misleads people into thinking that it's only money that is offered for votes. But we know that sometimes T-shirts, even a pack of food, can somewhat amount to vote buying. Elaborate a bit more on the gifts or the items that may not necessarily, in the eyes of people, amount to vote buying.
Okay, so vote buying, you can look at vote buying from two perspectives. One is from the one who is giving.
Okay.
And one is from the one who is taking it. So one is selling and the other is buying. So you have a politician whose intention is to win elections. So they go out to the people and sometimes they have to offer so many things. So they give gifts, T-shirts, as you mentioned, it could be colors, depending on where you come from or where you are. It can even be fish, as we even identified in the NPP primaries that was just recently conducted. It can be so many things. Money is part of it. Sometimes it's even provision of infrastructure. So when a politician intends to win elections, and just few months to the elections, they decide to construct boreholes and many other things, all those things qualify or can be classified as vote buying. So it's not even just about money or gifts. It also includes providing even fiscal infrastructure. Sometimes, you know, close to elections, you have some politicians lining up people to register them for health insurance and other forms of insurance with the intention that these people will come back and vote for them. Sometimes it's even a promise. If you vote for me, I will make sure that when I get into power, you get employment. You'll be recruited in the security services or in the public service. All these promises and gifts and even provision of fiscal infrastructure amount to vote buying. So the category is very broad and it includes so many things. So far as someone is committing something for you to vote for the person, and you accepting or you also making claims that you do this for me and intend I vote for you, all these things qualify under the concept of vote buying.
That's quite interesting and very dicey. So what do we make of manifestos and promises then?
Well, manifestos are general policies and programs that a party has. And these are policies that they sell to the people. If you vote for me, these are the things that I will do for you. And it's the basis for accountability. So when they come into power, you expect them to perform and to be responsive to the needs of the public. So that becomes a form of social contract. And the provision of goods are not particularistic or it's not done in a clientele manner. This is provision of social goods for the general well-being of the community or the society. But vote buying usually attains the nature of particularity. So I am organizing a football game for the young men in this area to come and play. At the end of it, I give them food, I give them money reward so that they vote for me. That is targeted at these people for a very short period of time with the intention of getting them to vote for you or to reward you with their votes. Again, it could be you are providing this infrastructure within a short period of time. So if you want to roll out health insurance, why can't you do that over the 4 years, but just a month to the elections, you want to do this? What is the intention of rolling out this policy? You probably may not have spoken about it. If you have spoken about it, then people will be aware that you promised us this and we are holding you to account. So it's time for you to deliver. But these things are done in a particularistic manner, as I indicated earlier, that they target people and they also have the timing. They wait till election so that you will remember that we are giving you this for you to come and vote for us.
For some, it's not buying. They think that it is proof that you can actually deliver on your promise. What would your response be to that?
Well, it is certainly buying. It's more or less like any form of economic transaction where people go to the market and this is what I have in hand. How much are you also giving me? So it's not about delivery. When you expect your member of parliament to deliver, what do you expect him to deliver on? They have specific responsibilities, which may not necessarily be provision of social infrastructure. They may have to perform, they may have to represent you in parliament, they may have to pass bills, which may have consequences on your life. So we are passing narcotic bills, we are passing mineral royalties, and many other bills which have direct influence on us or on our children and our community as a whole. So delivery is part of it. And when you want to deliver, you should be able to deliver within a reasonable time or within the 4-year mandate and not just close to elections. And not just close to elections. And these have very serious consequences. That's why we say we need to be very careful about pushing all things close to elections, because we are in a country where after every election, we have a lot of deficits in our spending. We overrun our budget and we spend the next 3 years to go back and trying to get back to normal just to get into another election cycle, and then we ruin the whole thing. So it's a cyclical problem which has serious implications on the economy, on our own development, and on our planning. So what happened to planning? That you want to implement these activities a month or 2 or 3 months to elections.
Mr. Boateng-Esiama, there's a bit about illegality and punishment thereof. We recently witnessed during the NPP primaries allegations of vote buying, even some candidates within the same party accusing their colleagues of spending so much, giving cash to candidates. Some received gas cylinders, television sets, and all. We haven't seen so far a single individual readily that comes to mind said this person has been punished for engaging in this, or this person has been punished for receiving gifts from a prospective parliamentary candidate or presidential candidate. Why is that bit lagging?
Okay, so before I even proceed to the punishment, let me touch on what you just mentioned about the strategy they use. So when people are selling votes or when people want to buy votes, especially from the politicians, you clearly see that they either want to demobilize their opponents. So this happens in a way where you have a politician trying to offer more than their opponent. And sometimes when they realize that their opponents are also coming stronger, they go back and push more money in there. Another one is also to encourage, maybe to just incentivize their supporters to know that they are there for them. So they also give monetary incentives and other kinds of rewards for them to also go and then vote for them. So these are strategies. Before I even go to the law, let me try and educate a lot of Ghanaians. The only opportunity, if you are living in a democracy like ours, the only opportunity you have to make impact is through elections. We are in this country and you have your parliamentarians implementing or passing laws and they don't consult you. And it's very difficult to even hold them accountable during their tenure. And the only opportunity you have is within the 4-year electoral cycle to go and make informed choice. So when you sacrifice democratic accountability, which means leaders will keep watching whatever they do within the 4-year period because they know they will be held accountable. They will feel the pressure to perform well. When you sacrifice all these things just to wait for the 4-year period and then receive a box of matches or a matchet or just few thousand cedis whatsoever, then you are not helping yourself and you are not helping the progress of our country. So let me come back to your question about the implications of vote buying or vote selling. And it is an offense in our laws. And as you mentioned, a lot of people do not know. When you go through our Political Parties Act, you go through the Representation of People's Law 1992, even way back to the Criminal Offense Code 1960. Buying votes or selling votes is a punishable offense. You can be prosecuted. But unfortunately, when you have the Electoral Commission in charge of enforcing this regulation, there are so many challenges that come to play. I think the one that was recently mentioned by the former, the Auditor General who is on leave, is whether the Electoral Commission, even has the power or has what it takes to enforce this law. You have your commissioners who are being appointed by the executive of the day, and from what we saw under President Mahama and what we are seeing now, you always see the ruling party in bed with your commissioners or your Electoral Commission. How do they hold them to account? That is one of the problems. So I think maybe we need to think about moving the responsibility to a different agency and to an independent agency who can and will be able to carry out this mandate of prosecuting politicians when they are found of engaging in this act.
It doesn't sound as simple as that, because for some, the argument may be, okay, I went for a function, I played football or soccer, the MP gave me food, gave me t-shirt, but it didn't influence my vote. So how do you prove that? Don't you think that that is a challenge in the, dealing with it legally?
It is certainly a challenge, but I don't think it is impossible to deal with it. You have many other countries. I read of one instance somewhere in the United States where somebody contesting to be elected as a judge had people in the hospitals, and another person went there. The person was sick. And it became like, okay, are you going to vote for candidate A? If you are going to vote for candidate A, I know that we have shortage of beds, but I can't secure a place for you. So the person agreed, and then because he was in need, he went there, but later on they appealed. There are clear instances, and we can set examples. There are so many of them. There are so many of them. So some may be difficult to prove, but we certainly have others which are done blatantly. People do it, they come and tell us that is the rule of the game, even though it is illegal. So we can start with the ones that are easy to catch and punish and set as an example, and then go to the more difficult ones, which I don't think is impossible. It is difficult, but they are not impossible.
There's also the bit about a situation where maybe a politician is not willing to offer any item or money in relation to getting a vote in return, but the electorate is demanding it. In that case, what would you expect the politician to do? He needs the vote. He's trying to convince the voter that I will vote for you. No, I will fulfill my promises towards you if you vote for me. It's a dilemma for politicians who want to do, quote unquote, the right thing in this kind of system, isn't it?
It is certainly difficult, and I am aware of that. Politicians are sometimes caught in this dilemma, and it is the reason why we should educate people. People do not understand the implications of vote buying. People do not understand that when you sacrifice everything that you have to do and just take money from politicians, they may not respond to your needs within the electoral cycle, or they may do least of what you would have expected them to do, because now they have hooked you. You are their client. They pay money for you, and then they don't expect you, whilst they are trying to recoup their investment, they don't expect you to come and shouting, do this, do that, do that. So certainly politicians are caught in a dilemma which need to be addressed, certainly through public education. And I think it is one of the ways where we can get the people to understand. Again, some have also got to do with the lifestyle. And it goes back to the point that when you are living in a community with a person and they get elected, all of a sudden you see their life transforms. They are no longer part of you. So it creates the impression in the minds of people that these people go there to get money. They go there and the money is there for them to do whatever they want. So once they get the money, we also find ways and means to get what we need to get from them. Again, when you see what goes on in the primaries, where people are paid huge sums of money, and that is not a secret, people think they are also being cheated. So what do they get in return? So all these things contribute to the reason why community and other people also demand from politicians, or demand politicians to do something for them before they vote, because they have seen other people enjoying. So if they are enjoying without any consequences, then why don't they also, make similar demands? So punishing people will serve as an example, but also educating people will go a long way in reforming this problem about vote buying and vote selling in the country.
Thank you very much for your time. Gilfred Boating-Esiama is research analyst at the CDD. So in conclusion, Roland, people need to understand that vote buying is tantamount to the highest bidder gets the vote, which may not be the best person to rule the country per se, or to govern or represent you in parliament. It also means, like Mr. Boating-Esiama said, that for the 4-year period, you're likely to be neglected until a few months to the election, because the politician knows that, oh, if he just gives you some chicken change, you vote for him. So I think that that's my takeaway from this, and reason why you should not engage in vote buying. Yeah, definitely. We're hoping that we can broaden the discussion further. And as we're in the political season, we'll bring you more when it comes to the elections. But we have to we have to go. But Roland, you usually hear of a secular musician becoming a gospel musician, like Yaosiki. We hear a lot of that, not even in Ghana. But today, Kadi is bringing us someone who was a gospel musician. We're not going secular. Yeah, that's interesting. He's called Maya the bass player. You don't want to miss that. Please stay.